million people will benefit from the initiative.
4.1 juta penerima STR akan menerima SARA sebanyak RM100 sebulan ketimbang 700,000 penerima sebelum ini. Bantuan SARA dikreditkan dalam MyCard penerima bermula April 2025 dibelanjakan untuk membeli barangan asas. Penambahan ini adalah 3 bilion ringgit. Penambahan yang tinggi membolehkan kadar maksimum diterima. Maknanya isi rumah meningkat kepada RM4,600.
Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim also noted that single individuals will receive RM600 in a form of sumbangan tunai rahmah. Cash assistance to elderly people and children from poor family were also increased. For that, RM2.9 billion were allocated compared to RM2.4 billion this year. The elderly assistance aid increased to RM600 per month from RM500 previously. For children from poor family aged 6 years old and below will receive RM250 per person. Meanwhile, RM150 will be given to children aged 7 to 18 years old with the maximum rate of RM1,000 per family.
The government committed to maintain subsidy for the majority of the rakyat. Dato Sri Anwar said, as implemented in the targeted subsidy for electricity, 85% of the people will not be affected.
Bagi mengelakkan kekeliruan, saya tegaskan sekali lagi bahawa tanggungan subsidi masih diteruskan bagi 85% rakyat. Kerajaan akan hanya dan oleh itu untuk 85% kerajaan terpaksa menanggung subsidi dianggar berjumlah 12 bilion ringgit untuk 85%.
The government is also planning to implement targeted subsidy for RON 95 petrol in mid-2025. The savings from such initiative will be used for the well-being of the people.
The role of women in the society will continue to be strengthened through various initiatives to encourage women to return to work. The government has allocated RM470 million for financing funds provided by SME Bank, Bank Simpanan Nasional, Bank Rakyat and MARA to support women's micro, small and medium enterprises SMEs.
The fund will allow women entrepreneurs to obtain working capital, purchase assets and increase business capacity to a higher level. Dato Sri Anwar said the Women's Leadership Apprenticeship Program Perantis will be intensified under the Ministry of Women as an effort to produce more female corporate personalities. The returnship program will be initiated to encourage women to return to work in the financial sector. This program will be organized by Bank Negara Malaysia, BNM, and the Malaysian Security Commission, SC, will provide training facilities and then connect with potential employers who are suitable for returning to work. The government also plans to offer an additional 50% tax exemption to employers who employ women to return to work after pursuing their education through financial assistance for a period of 12 months.
Malaysia managed to attract $16.9 billion for long-term investment from international digital companies. This is a direct result from a solid digital transformation policy framework.
Malaysia berjaya meraih pelaburan berjumlah $16.9 bilion Amerika untuk tempoh hingga 2038 daripada syarikat gergasi teknologi dunia AWS, Microsoft, Google dan Oracle. Ini mencerminkan tahap keyakinan mereka kepada potensi Malaysia.
Meanwhile, Microsoft today said that they are committed in partnering with the government to drive responsible artificial intelligence AI innovation in Malaysia. Microsoft Malaysia Managing Director Lawrence C. said Budget 2025 reflected the government's commitment to create positive outcomes for Malaysia through driving AI innovation and responsible adoption.
Welcome to On the Table.
Obviously, there are two main engines of growth in any economies.
What are the implications of Malaysia's growth on employment, income levels, and also standard of living per population?
From a historical perspective, it's been good.
The capacity in our country can be built to be in the same level as the world standards.
Now on to our daily world updates. The United Nations Humanitarian Office accused Israel on Friday of using warlike tactics against Palestinians in the occupied West Bank, citing killings by soldiers and attacks on Palestinian olive groves by Israeli settlers. According to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, 9 Palestinians were killed by Israeli forces there between the 8th and the 14th of October, including 1 child.
In the latest reporting period, from the 8th to the 14th of October, Israeli forces killed 9 Palestinians, including a child, and injured 104 people, including 9 children. Israeli forces accused most of those fatalities of being involved in attacking Israelis. Yesterday, a Palestinian woman was reportedly killed while she was harvesting olives in Jenin. This follows 32 attacks by Israeli settlers this month on Palestinians engaged in the ongoing olive harvest happening right now.
In total, around 600 mainly olive trees have been burnt, vandalized or stolen by Israeli illegal settlers, the agency said in a report that showed a Palestinian man standing next to an olive tree stump with its branches sawn off. During the same briefing, UNICEF spokesperson James Elder warned that Gaza has become a real-world embodiment of hell on earth, that has the situation for children in Gaza is at rock bottom. Meanwhile, at least 33 people were killed and 85 wounded in Israel strikes that hit several houses on Friday in Jabalia, the largest of Gaza's 8 historic refugee camps, medics said, where residents said Israeli tanks also blew up roads and houses. The Palestinian media office said the death toll from the strikes could rise because some people were believed to be trapped under the rubble, and the Palestinian official news agency Wafa said children were among those killed. Other Israeli strikes killed at least 39 Palestinians across Gaza on Friday. Residents of Jabalia said Israeli tanks had reached the heart of the camp after pushing through suburbs and residential districts. They said the Israeli army was destroying dozens of houses daily from the air and the ground, and by placing bombs in buildings, then detonating them remotely. Residents also said Israeli forces had effectively isolated the far northern Gazan towns of Beit Hanun, Jabalia and Beit Lahia from Gaza City, blocking movement except for those families heeding evacuation orders and leaving the 3 towns. Health officials also appealed for fuel, medical supplies and food to be sent immediately to 3 northern Gaza hospitals, overwhelmed by the number of patients and injuries.
A delegation of Arab ambassadors to the United Nations stressed the danger of a large-scale genocide in northern Gaza based on reports that Israel intends to seal the area by declaring it a military zone. Riyad Mansour, the permanent observer for the state of Palestine to the United Nations, has called the UN Security Council to adopt a resolution that calls for an immediate ceasefire.
It is the duty of the Security Council to say, we demand an immediate ceasefire and compliance by all parties. And we demand that to take place, for example, within 24 hours or within 48 hours or else.
Residents said Israeli forces had effectively isolated the far northern Gazan towns of Beit Hanun, Jabalia and Beit Lahia from Gaza City, blocking movement except for those families heeding evacuation orders and leaving the 3 towns. They said communications and internet services had been cut, disrupting rescue operations.
Russia and Ukraine each swapped 95 prisoners of war on Friday in an agreement completed with the United Arab Emirates acting as mediator. The Russian Defense Ministry said the returning Russian service members were undergoing medical checks in Belarus, one of Russia's closest allies in the more than 2.5-year-old war.
Ukrainian news reports said the returnees included Ukrainian journalist and right advocate Maxim Batkovich, convicted by a Russian court of shooting at Russian forces. The report said they also included one of Ukraine's Azov Brigade fighters who defended the port city of Mariupol for nearly 3 months in 2022. A private Russian group that says it looks after the interests of prisoners of war published a list of returnees and said most of them were captured in the Kursk region, where Ukrainian forces staged an incursion in August. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has said the Kursk operation was designed to divert Russian forces from the Eastern Front and to increase the number of captured Russian soldiers to be used as part of an exchange fund. Ukrainian forces remain in Kursk, though Russia's military says its forces have clawed back some of the captured territory.
North Korea said it had discovered the remains of a crashed South Korean military drone. State media CKCNA released several still photographs of the drone and said the drone was found on the 13th of October.
North Korea claims to have recovered crashed South Korean military drone. It said the drone's shape is similar to the one scattering leaflets over Pyongyang, and it was the same model that the South Korean military recently showcased during a military drill in Seoul on the 1st of October. South Korea's government has declined to say if such drones were flown, and if they were, whether they were flown by its military or civilians. Tensions between the Koreas have escalated since the North began flying balloons carrying trash across the border to the south in late May, with Seoul responding by restarting loudspeaker propaganda broadcast which anger Pyongyang. North Korea has intensified its hostile rhetoric in recent days, accusing the South military of flying drones over its capital on 3 days this month and threatening a horrible disaster if it detects another drone over its skies.
A man was arrested in Tokyo after throwing several suspected petrol bombs at the ruling party headquarters Saturday morning, just over a week before a general election. Public broadcaster NHK said the 5 or 6 Molotov cocktail-like objects hit a riot police vehicle, but the fire was soon extinguished and no one was injured.
The man, believed to be in his 40s, also tried to drive his car into the grounds of the Prime Minister's office but was blocked by a fence. He then reported tried to throw what appeared to be a smoke bomb but was stopped by police officers on the scene who detained him. The man was arrested on the spot on suspicion of obstructing public order, according to the reports citing police. The motives of the perpetrator are not known, and several plastic tanks were found in the man's car. Japan will hold a general election on the 27th of October in a test for a new Prime Minister, Shigeru Ishiba, who took office after winning the LDP's leadership vote last month. Violent crime is rare in Japan, which has strict gun control laws.
Cuba on Friday experienced a nationwide blackout after the island's main power plant failed, causing the communist country's electricity grid to collapse. Lazaro Guerra, Director General of Electricity at the Ministry of Energy and Mines, said the system was left without power nationwide after the unexpected shutdown of the Antonio Guterres power plant.
He noted that when the thermoelectric plant shut down, the system collapsed, adding the government was working to restore service as soon as possible. On Thursday, Prime Minister Manuel Marrero announced the island was in the throes of an energy emergency, with severe supply shortages leaving some provinces without power for up to 20 hours. The government on Thursday suspended all non-essential public sector activities in order to prioritize electricity supply to homes. Cuba gets its power from 8 aging thermal power plants as well as 7 floating plants leased from Turkish companies.
A Rome court on Friday rejected orders to detain a group of migrants in a reception facility in Albania and said they had a right to be brought to Italy, dealing a blow to Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's plan to divert asylum seekers abroad.
This week, a total of 16 migrants were rescued in the Mediterranean and taken to Albania by an Italian Navy ship, becoming the first group of people to be housed in the new facility of Gjader after being processed in the Sinjin port. 4 of them have already been brought to Italy for health reasons or because they were recognized as minors. Arturo Salerni, a lawyer involved in the case, said the decision applied to all the 12 remaining migrants. The decision provoked the IRE of Meloni's Brothers of Italy party. The party wrote on its profile on X that some politicized magistrates have decided that there are no safe countries of origin and would like to abolish Italy borders. Charity group Sea-Watch applauded the court decision, saying the whole media show organised by the Maloney government had clashed with national and international law.
In sports, Malaysia and Super 100 Badminton Challenge in quarter-final stage. Stay tuned.
Melaksanakan misi, mempertahan maruah, mencipta secara setia, perkembangan takkan jenta dengan asalkan membuat peluang terus tegakkan satu perjuangan, satu suara akan yang direncana di dada dalam memburu takkan keraguan, kekuatan bicara.
Starting off our sports segment this afternoon, Malaysia's men's and women's singles challenge in the Malaysia Super 100 Badminton tournament ended at the quarter-final stage yesterday. The men's challenge came to an abrupt halt when 20-year-old Justin Ho went down fighting 21-18, 17-21, 6-21 to top seed Shi Yujian of Taiwan in a 70-minute battle.
Justin, who admitted to finding it hard to keep with world number 33 Yu Zhen's punishing pace in the decider, is determined to work on improving his fitness level for future tournaments. Yu Zhen will take on Japan's Ku Takahashi in the last fought later today. There was more disappointment for Malaysia when women's singles shuttlers Ong Zin Yi and Kei Lechana were sent packing by the Japanese opponents in the last 8. While the 18-year-old Zinzi, who came through the qualifying rounds, went down 21-17, 19-21, 4-21 to Akari Kurihara, Lechana fell 19-21, 16-21 to Asuka Takahashi.
National track cycling ace Mohammad Shafidao Sharam finished the 2024 UCI Track Cycling World Championship in Ballarab, Copenhagen in 9th place in the Korean event after competing in the classification race for the 7th to 12th positions yesterday.
The 28-year-old's dream of advancing to the final was dashed as he only finished 4th in Heat 1 of the semi-finals, trailing behind Colombian cyclist Kevin Quintero, Japan's Kento Yamasaki and Poland's Mateusz Rug. According to the official UCI website, only the top 3 cyclists from each heat qualify for the final to compete for the gold medal. Kento won the gold medal while Mikhail Yakovlev and Kevin took home the silver and bronze respectively. Meanwhile, his younger brother Mohammad Ridwan was eliminated in the repechage round of the same event, finishing 5th in Heat 4, where only the top 2 cyclists from each heat advanced to the quarterfinals. However, Mohammad Shafidao still has a chance to compete for a medal as he will participate in the sprint event today.
Emirates team New Zealand moved to the verge of America's Cup triumph with 2 commanding victories over Ineos Britannia on Friday to claim a 6-2 lead. After the British team won both the Wednesday's races to spark hope of a comeback, the Kiwis responded exclusively on choppy waters off the coast of Barcelona, now needing just 1 more point in the best of 13 series to triumph.
Already double defending champions, New Zealand have one hand on the 37th America's Cup, the world's oldest international sporting trophy. In Friday's first race, they finished 1 minute 13 seconds ahead of Ineos, bankrolled by billionaire Jim Ratcliffe, co-owner of a Premier League football team Manchester United. The British boat finished the day's second race 55 seconds down on the defender. Ineos Britannia need to win all 5 remaining races to win Britain the trophy for the first time in the competition's 173-year history. The Kiwis made a big gain in the 7th race of the series by deciding to split from their opponents in the first leg, with Britain, who shaded the pre-start by a nose, arriving at the first gate 12 seconds behind. By the third gate, New Zealand doubled their advantage as their AC-75 foiling boat coped well with the bumpy conditions. New Zealand made no mistakes to bring the race home, steadily increasing their advantage to cut short Ineos' comeback momentum.
Colourful stories await you in our offbeat segment. The Mexican town of Atletico prepared for a Day of the Dead by presenting 14 giant Catrinas made by artisans and exhibiting them various locations of this town. The Catrina, or elegant skeleton, was created by Jose Guadalupe Posada, a Mexican cartoonist, illustrator and artist whose work has influenced many Latin American artists and cartoonists because of its satirical acuteness and political engagement.
Porque es un homenaje a nuestros muertos, porque aquí está lleno de flores y así deben estar nuestros muertos, porque es un lugar emblemático, porque es un pueblo mágico, porque es parte de nuestras tradiciones.
Close to 70 artisans participated in the fourth edition of the Valley of the Catrinas. This year, the theme was Mexican historical figures, with Catrinas representing heroes dating from Mexico's conquest by the Spaniards up to its Revolution War in the early 20th century. 6 of these skeletons will travel to cities such as Rome, New York, Boston, and Los Angeles.
With the pandemic and writers' strikes firmly in the past, hordes arrived on Thursday for the first day of New York's 2024 Comic-Con. According to local media reports, hundreds of thousands are expected to attend the weekend event that will end on Sunday. The event is taking place at New York's Javits Center, a convention center on the west side of Manhattan. Unofficially dubbed as the largest pop event on the east coast of the United States, Comic-Con was already the host of attendees cosplaying as their favorite characters from shows, movies, and comic books. Games, panels, and exhibits were also up and running on the first day.
It's the best cosplay location, comic book add-ons or video game add-ons, best place to find information and meet the artists, the writers, people that work in the industry.
I chose to express myself this way. I grew up, my mom always dresses up for Halloween, so I already grew up with a love for dressing up in costumes. And as I got older, I felt not shunned by society, but I definitely felt different because of my interests.
According to New York Tourism Board, the event is expected to bring in some $80 million to New York City. Nestled in the Bolivian Amazon, the small majority indigenous town of Bicha has become an unexpected hub of violin makers, also known as luthiers. Out of a population of some 8,000 people, most of whom are native Guarayos, some 40 to 50 work directly in the trade. At the Bicha Institute of Artistic Training, Choir and Orchestra, one of the most well-known baroque music schools in Bolivia, about 20 or so students are learning to make violins, carrying on the traditions practiced by elders such as Hildeberto Orellay. Each violin is made from cheddar or mara, a local hardwood, and sells for the equivalent of about $580. Bicha lies over 300 kilometers north of the departmental capital Santa Cruz. In the early 19th century, Franciscan missionaries arrived in the area of current day Guarayo and noticed that the indigenous peoples were skilled artisans and above all musically talented. Anthropologists believe that they may be rooted in the Guarayos' beliefs around death.
76 minit tanpa henti.
76 minutes non-stop.
Transparent and concise.
Paparan komprehensif, ringkas dan padat. Saksikan Kanta 744 7.44 malam.
Berita perdana 8 malam.
Malaysia Tonight, 8:30 p.m.
Saingan 6 negara: Malaysia, Australia, Great Britain, India, Jepun dan New Zealand kini menggegar arena hoki antarabangsa dengan pukulan-pukulan kencang dan bertenaga oleh barisan pemain-pemain remaja bawah 21 tahun. Kejohanan Hoki Antarabangsa Piala Sultan Johor 2024 edisi ke-12 dibawakan sepanjang 19 hingga 26 Oktober. Hanya di RTM, penyiar rasmi.
And that's it from us this afternoon. In our top story, large-scale genocide risk if Israel seals northern Gaza as military zone. Do join us again this evening for more news on TV1 and Salaman Berita RTM at 8:30 p.m. Or you can always stream us online on RTM's Clicks website and mobile app. Till then, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Olivia Nicholas. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.